I am really excited about this episode. When I pitched the idea to my group of friends, to the little mastermind that we created and lovingly refer to as the Cactus Club now, I said, I want to get y'all on the podcast at the same time to talk about this concept of finding aligned friendships and to finding people that you can share your dreams with and that will encourage you. And because I know what it's like back in the beginning of my journey to not even have a single friend who was into yoga. Imagine that. Now they're all around. So, why? What happens? How do we do that? In the hopes that it will inspire you to potentially create your own group and to think about some other things that are even beyond friendship. Before we get into the episode and before I introduce you to all of our guests, I want to ask you to please take a moment. Genuinely, I know that it's annoying to ask, but if you could please take a moment to make sure that you drop me a rating, rate this show, and also to subscribe to my show. If you're willing to share the show as well, that is one of the biggest ways that you can help me. And really, the momentum comes from you guys, the listeners. It's the reason why I can spend time bringing these wonderful people together to chat in the first place. So please do that really quickly. And then the other thing I want to share with you is that if you are a fellow yoga teacher, maybe you're a coach, an entrepreneur, a studio owner, and you're looking to bring your business and your offerings into the online world, there's a really wonderful platform called Offering Tree, which is the beloved sponsor of this show. And they have everything for you. They have a way to have your website, your booking, your marketing. There's a home for all of your on-demand courses and classes. It's an all-in-one platform that's specifically designed for us. And so if you have been looking for a recommendation on a platform to start to up-level your business and get everything organized, go check out Offering Tree. The link is always in my show notes. They give you a free trial, so you can check it out and see how all of it works. And they've got a discount as well for you listeners. With that said, let's get into the episode. And yeah, there's going to be some bloopers and some silliness as well. Good evening, Cactus Club.
What's up, guys?
Okay, hi, friends.
Wednesday.
It's weird without the official countdown, but we're already recording. Confirmed. Yes. Okay. I'm feeling nervous.
This episode should have a bloopers in the end. You should definitely do bloopers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Leadership and Yoga fam, my friends are invading my podcast today. Hi, friends.
Yeah.
Hi.
The friends say hi. I have Marla, Brandon, Kimmy, and Ben here with me, and we meet weekly, y'all, to inspire each other, to encourage each other, give each other feedback, and also fuel to try again the next week, and the next week, and the next week after that. So one of my favorite sayings is that you meet your true friends on the mountain, and that's how I really feel about you guys, because down in the city where the life is, easy and people are doing all of the normal sorts of things, you can meet some really wonderful acquaintances, but it is not until you begin your own journey up the mountain of this sort of journey of self-discovery, maybe it's the journey of entrepreneurship, the journey of the yoga, that you meet other people who are also on their way up and who are also on their journey, and you relate on such a deep level with those people. You get to share the climb with them, if you will, and you get to sit and stop and maybe enjoy some tea or some coffee with them and discuss the journey. But that's how I feel about you all, and I want to kick this off. I hope you didn't think you were going to get out of here without me, spilling my heart out to you via words, but I want to start with just something little that I wrote about you all. And just kind of as a way of laying the land for those who are listening. After this, this is really an episode that is a behind the scenes episode on what we call our Cactus Club, which you'll find out why we call it that in just a bit. But it's also an episode on aligned friendship and on finding those friends who inspire you and those friends that you can tell your dreams to and who they won't think you're crazy because they're also a little bit crazy themselves. So here we go. Without further ado, dear Cactus Club, I didn't know you, but I'm glad that I found you online because now I can say that I do. Somewhere between Wednesday afternoon calls and your list of dreams combined with mine, my questions and complaints and your answers, your doubts and theoretical reasonings and my replies, we seemed to have formed a friendship, a colleagueship, a co-workership, a co-creator, co-yogiship that spans from me telling you that you are a star and should vlog your entire life to you saving me from a rebrand that could have ruined mine. You've flown halfway across the world to photograph and attend my retreats. You have met me in New York to produce my podcasts and to stand on your head with an 86-year-old yoga legend and look weak with me in comparison to his ease. You've politely told me that my content understandability was trash and helped me clean up my act. You let me drag you salsa dancing and to eat a cookie from a gas station fridge late at night like it was 2016. You sent me a hoodie you created that says meditate on it, and I really love to meditate. It's so cool that even the customs officer at the airport made me write down your name. I hope he bought one. Because I would gladly be a walking billboard for any brand you build, especially since I get to help you make sure they get the damn logo right. And hey, by the way, did you choose the M version or did you choose the K? I see your expansion, your mission, your teaching, your presence grow daily. And let me tell you that if you believe in me even 1/10 of how much I believe in you, then we are in for a real treat. And I do believe we are all in for a real treat that is much sweeter than the fridge cookie because this entrepreneurship ride is so much more sweet with you on my side. Thanks for letting me interview you on this podcast over the years. First Marla, then Brandon, then Ben, and then Kimi. But most of all, thanks for becoming my friend. Thanks for seeing value in my words and my work enough to pay attention and enough to stick around for my rants on consciousness. I've never had friends quite like you. And if you're listening to this podcast, I hope that you find friends like this too.
Wow, bars.
I might be crying
I'm
just a
weeping.
little.
Y'all have managed to make me nervous though, not gonna lie. I feel like nothing really makes my heart pound anymore, but this is I feel like I'm speaking at a wedding or something. But anyways, just wanted to kick it off, casual. So Cactus Club, I think Brandon can go because the first thing we've got to do is the origin story of the Cactus Club, because any good friend group apparently needs a name and a mascot and a special emoji.
Absolutely. So how we got to the name the Cactus Club. So we were doing this for about 2 or 3 months, and at the end of every single call, just having a symbiotic group where you call each other out on our blind spots and give us new perspectives and a pathway to go towards our goals. That left me at least feeling every meeting that I could run through a wall, that I could scream and jump from the mountaintops. And then also the analogy was we got off a call and it was just a super crazy call where we're jumping up and down the whole time. And at the end of it, I texted my group chat. I'm like, guys, I'm so damn excited right now. I could eat a cactus. And so that was how the name came about, was Cactus Club. It's you get so damn amped here. You don't care what you do. You have so much energy, you can eat a whole cactus. And here we are.
With the spines and all.
This club has been birthed.
Cactus Club has been birthed. I love that description of the energy because that captures well my experience of Cactus Club. But before we get into any of the, the later part of the episode on friendship, I want to hear from each of you just a little blurb about, why are you a part of this group, and whatever you really want to say about it, but just a little bit from each of our perspectives to paint the picture for folks. We can popcorn this. Speak when you're ready.
I can go on it. I say this about a lot of yoga groups I meet, and this one specifically is like the pinnacle of it. I feel like we're all the yoga Marvel Avengers, and that everyone lives in their own cities around the world and has their own superpowers because they've invested in making the most them version of them. So Marla has made the most Marla version of Marla. Ben and Kimia and Shawna, you guys have, and like it's really inspiring. You've honed in your own superpower. For Ben, it's like Katona yoga and like spitting bars and rapping. And then like Marla, Shtanga, like that I've been inspired by. And then like I mean I could go on about each and every one of you, but just having this kind of environment where everyone is so in their lane, like they so are like knowing that they can serve with their medicine, but then also help us find our blind spots and like, yo, Brandon, you're missing on this part of you that's really special. Like really lean into that and water that plant within yourself. That has been like phenomenal, like to experience. Thank you guys for being the Yoga Marvel Avengers in my life. You guys are very inspiring to me.
Yeah, I think following up on that, it's so fun to have friends that you feel extraordinarily inspired by. And teaching yoga is a beautiful thing because we get to surround ourselves with amazing people, whether it be our students or our teachers. But there's also a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we do alone. Like I would venture to say that the vast majority of our work is alone, and there can be a lot of solitude. And so, um, especially living in a little bit of a smaller yoga community here in Charlotte, North Carolina, like it's so fun to be able to expand my network of community to teachers who live in different places. And the reason I'm here is because I was in Austin, Texas, visiting some good friends of mine, and that's where Shauna's been living. And Shauna and I met up IRL for the first time, and this is after we had become friends, and I was on the podcast and everything. And yeah, we went to a class, we got lunch, and Shauna was telling me about this thing, like how she meets with these people every week. And I'm like, well, I know these people too. I want to be in this club. Like, I kind of invited myself, and Shauna was like, I'll ask their permission, you know? And luckily, y'all approved, I guess, you know, the Avengers got together and reviewed the application, and I guess we're down for me to join, and I'm so glad because, yeah, it's just, it's so fun. I feel like we're able to really find a mix of having fun, building friendship, finding joy in the work we do, which is really important. Otherwise, it just gets really exhausting. But also like taking our crafts really seriously, like Brandon said, helping each other fill in our blind spots and just building each other up. And that's so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, we're all here because of you, Shauna, like first and foremost.
True.
Um, these
Duh.
these started a
So,
year ago, like last summer, like you and I started having these calls, and as it grew to like then adding Brandon and then adding Ben and then adding Kimmy. But like even when if I look back at like the notes that I was writing like that last October actually, I was just like, okay, like what do I want for my life? And the very first thing that I had written was that I want to stay in this like aligned energy that I feel, this like eat a cactus energy that I feel when I get off of a call with these people. Because like Ben said, it's so lonely, like we all have like these big dreams and these big visions and like these things that we want to do and like we all have like our own like mountains to climb, but it's just it can be really discouraging when you're just constantly like in your own head. And so like at the
Hmm.
end of the day, like man, I just want to be seen and you guys see me and you just like make that lonely work so much easier to do. Like I fully believe that I can achieve it, but it's because I have like other people who I trust telling me that I can't. So
Um, I guess I'm here for the same reasons as anybody else. Like you said, Marlon, that's Shauna. Um, but I have to say that before becoming a full-time yoga teacher, I was in corporate and I was very much used to working in a team environment and always having a, a group of people to discuss my work with. And when switching to full-time yoga teaching and entrepreneurship, I was so scared of losing that. And when I told Shauna, because we were in touch before that, when I told her I quit my job, I'm now on this path to become a full-time yoga teacher, she said, "You know what? Now that you're like fully in, why don't you join this club that we have?" And I was like, "Okay, yes, please. This sounds amazing." Because, like everybody else said, it's a super isolating, it can be a very isolating job. And especially considering that I'm in Europe and you guys are in the US and I'm here in my little bubble, and it just feels, I feel so privileged to be able to be part of this, even though it means that every Wednesday I go to bed at 1 a.m. because of the time
Oh,
difference. But
that's dedication.
it's the best. I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be here. I was also very nervous about you guys accepting me when Shauna said, "I'll discuss it with the others." I'm like, please, I hope they like me.
I think for anyone listening too, it's not even that. It's like it's actually also a numbers thing, right? So that we have
Yeah.
time to get through all of our things. But that's so funny. I guess I never had an application process. Mine was my own thought bubble. But this is perfect. Thank you guys for sharing that because the first question that I always had was, where do I find these people? Like, how can I? And you may be listening as well. Like, yeah, I have wonderful friends, right? But how do I find these people who will share a bit? I can tell my wildest yoga dreams too. And they'll say, like, hey, you know what? Actually, that really reminds me of something I'm working on. Like, what if we did this and this together? And you just sort of snowball that momentum off of each other. Where do I find those kind of people? You know? And because I've gone many times in my life from having absolutely no yoga friends. I've actually at one point was like, I just want a friend that likes yoga. Then I was like, I want a friend that also teaches yoga. And then I started to get a little bit more specific. I was like, well, I really want a friend that's full time in entrepreneurship and who likes meditation. And, it starts to grow in complexity what you're looking for. But that's our first question is how do we find these people?
Yeah. I like to go at that. I think this is it's like a really fun, it's kind of like a treasure hunt for like really cool, inspiring people. And it's so beautiful that we have Instagram. I know Instagram has like beautiful opportunity all around it, as long as it can be honed, respectively within your own energy and time management. But I mean, I kind of just look at his Instagram as like one big playground where everyone kind of gets to express themselves with what they want. And then I think specifically on like reaching out to people because even like reaching out to you guys when I started following you guys and commenting, like there's like strategy behind it. It's like when you go up to people in public, I mean, this is subjective, but when you go up to people in public, like I'm not gonna run up to someone and like scream in their face like, "Ah, I love you," like and then try to hug them right away and be like, "Come with me and come work for 2 hours on yoga with me." Like, no, like you're gonna walk with the person, and you're kind of feeling it out. You're like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, that shirt's dope. Like, you seem kind of cool. And then like walk away. And they're like, "Oh, that was really mysterious." And then you come back the next day, you're like, "Oh, like you seem like you got good style. Where do you shop at?" Like, you kind of keep building on the rapport you've already made. And so how I think of this stuff on Instagram is like I do the same thing in DMs. Like I'll just respond to one person's story of like, "Damn, Shauna, like you go hold that handstand and like talk at the same time. That's kind of cool." But not ask anything of you, like just like a compliment, like but genuine compliments. And then you keep establishing it's the relationship's like a plant. You keep watering it drop by drop.
Mm,
Like, hey,
yeah.
like this was really cool. I love how you do handstands. Like, where do you train at? And you start building rapport. And I think asking relevant questions about people, because people love like, talking
Hmm.
about the things they love. That's
True.
been like really helpful and like reaching out to people that are inspiring. Like even huge people in my life, like one of my brothers and biggest mentors, like Jonah Kest, like I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I think like your style of teaching's dope." And I did that for literally over a year. And then a year later, I was like, "I would love to train with you." And then he said, "Brother, let's do it." Same thing with all you guys, like Shauna, even like talking about your podcast and everything you're offering. Like it was that same formula of like, I'm not gonna run up to you, bear hug you, and scream in your ear like I love you right away. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that approach even scared Ben's cat across the made it run away.
Yeah. And so kind of just like, sending people some love, like attract instead of chase energy. Don't ask for something big right off the bat. Like we're all humans, we all got things. Like send some people some love and admiration of what you genuinely like. And then if something evolves from there, beautiful. If something doesn't, then you just gave someone that you admire some love. Like there's a win-win in all that. So yeah.
I like that slow roll too. I think it's long enough to get a vibe check and make sure it's aligned for both of you, you know? Found that a lot when, you get the opportunity to meet new people and you get to watch the slow build of it.
Hmm.
Speaking of the online world, I think a lot of times we can get caught up into kind of competition over collaboration with we
Absolutely.
see people doing things that are the same as us and it's hard. It's a constant learning. But I want us to speak about how within our line friendship, within even this cactus club that we've built, how it is that we really start to break down that wall because that's something that I've felt like a big exhale around is like whew, these people are like I said in my little opening love letter to you guys, these people are on my side. These people are rooting for me.
Hmm.
It's so easy to view other yoga teachers as competition, especially when you're early in your teaching career. And I remember back like when I started teaching, this is back in like when Instagram was like all the yoga teachers just posting like the most extreme poses you possibly could, and like all the people that were
Yes.
successful on social media were just the people that who could contort themselves into the craziest poses. And um, it's just so easy to compare and contrast yourself with others, especially in this interconnected online world. And especially because we all are like kind of solo entrepreneurs. As a yoga teacher, you're either running your own business, or even if you're working at studios, you're a 1099 contractor. And a lot of people get paid based on how many people come to your classes. So you're measuring your worth based on what your attendance is. Even if you're teaching at 7:30 a.m., you're not going to get the same attendance as if you're teaching at 6 p.m. But I've kind of also learned that a lot of the people that you might view that, your, I guess, lower mind, you could call it, might try to view as competition are really the people who you might want to go toward and try to, be complementary toward. Like Brandon said, like reach out. Um, it's a totally natural thing to feel jealousy or envy to people who are further along the path than you. But if you're jealous of someone, chances are there might be something about them that you really like, or that you want to embody, or that you want to kind of step into for yourself. So instead of like pushing them away and kind of giving in to this jealousy or this envy or these negative emotions, that could be a sign to actually like become a fan of them, like take their classes, reach out to them, dish out a compliment. If they have a book, buy their book and read it and see what it is that has gotten them to where they are. And
Hmm.
I kind of try to shift my mindset of, instead of we're all these separate businesses, these separate solo entrepreneurs, like we're all like working for the same company, and the same company is yoga. Yoga Inc. We're just like we're all
A
just trying to
brand you can
spread the
trust.
yeah. Yeah. And you're our CEO, Shawna. Um,
Yes.
like we're all trying to spread the same dharma. We're all trying to do the same thing, like it's like um if you think of like a bunch of monks at a monastery or something, the monks might go split up, and like one monk goes to America, monk goes to Canada to like spread the dharma, spread the teachings, but they're not like competing with each other. They're teammates. They're going to do the same thing. And like so all of us yoga teachers, we are all like, we might have different styles. Like I'm in Katona yoga, Marla's in Ashtanga, Shauna's in Rocket, like Kimi's just like doing all kinds of cool stuff, mythology of the poses, like all kinds of stuff. Brandon's in like the handstands, anti-gravity, vinyasa, So like we all have our lanes and we all have our unique approach to the practice, but it's just like a company has different departments. And so the better that each other does, the better that we can do. Like it's so easy
Hmm.
to root for y'all, because the better that y'all do, the better I do. And the better I do, like the better y'all can do, because I'm going to bring y'all along with me. And so the more that
Mhm.
we build each other up, it's actually just going to create more opportunities. The more complementary we are toward others, that's just going to come right back to us. And that's just like basic karma as well.
Yeah.
I think there's, like the concept of asteya, one of the yamas, means non-stealing. But like with the yamas, we have to flip it. So asteya doesn't just mean non-stealing. Like what's the opposite of stealing is giving. and being generous. And I think the Yoga Sutra that talks about asteya is like, to one who is firmly established in asteya, like all jewels come, or like all wealth
Mm,
comes. So the
Mm.
more you can give and be a part of something bigger than yourself, it's all just going to come back to you. So I think that's the shift of the mind of like scarcity mindset to abundance mindset. And
yes,
the people that would be easy to compete with are actually the people that we should maybe try to become friends with and
Mm.
learn
Yeah.
from and give to freely. And there's a lot of
absolutely.
fruits there.
Oof. Ooh, so good. Yes, one of the main things that I look for immediately in friends is exactly the cultivation of that quality. And I say cultivation because it's not that we all have it always locked in perfectly, but that constant reminder of it's actually a really good sign when the people around me are doing well. That's a great sign. It's a really good sign. Mm. So, in addition to that, I think the other really important thing, one of the other important things we provide for each other is a sense of accountability, a sense of get your shit together because I know you can.
Yeah.
I've seen you do it. You know it works. So make it happen. And that's one of the early roots, I think, of even our calls, Marla, was that like, well, next week I'm going to talk to Marla. And if I still haven't done the thing that I said I was going to do, that's kind of embarrassing. Because Marla is a person who inspires me, right? And I want her to also feel like, yeah, Shawna's also working on her things. So yeah, let's
Marla
talk a
doesn't
little bit
fuck
about
around.
accountability.
Yeah.
I don't fuck around. And yeah, I know I'm a great person to talk to about that, right? Because of like the discipline that is so often associated with Ashtanga, this like 6 day a week practice. And but you know what? The reason that I was able to cultivate anything near a 5 or 6 day a week practice is because I had people looking for me when I wasn't there, you know? Like because I didn't just like I'm not just practicing on my own every single morning, like I'm on Zoom, I'm on with my friends. Like we usually have a teacher that's like watching us and giving us feedback. And there was a moment there, I think it was also last summer, like briefly before our call, Shauna, where we all thought it was summer and we could like slack off and like sleep in a little. And so our one teacher, Melissa, started a group chat that also has its own little name and everything. And it's just like if we weren't online by 7 a.m., she would text us and she'd be like, wake the fuck up and come start practicing. And like in like a sweeter voice. But like that was it was fun. You know what I mean? Like it was like it's a serious thing, like this practicing yoga, but like it was fun and lighthearted because we knew our friends were going to be on. I knew Ryan Oliver was going to, I would hear his little like grunts as he was trying to like bang his head to come up from Karandavasana. So it's the same thing that now I can take that. And I've seen how much my yoga practice has progressed because I am held accountable to like show up and do the work. It's the same thing
Hmm.
with my business, like, oh man, like Kimmy was saying, when you leave the corporate world and there's no one looking over your shoulder and there's nobody that you have to respond to but yourself, it is hard. Like I could do anything today. You know what I mean? I could walk in the woods the entire day and like do absolutely nothing. And some days maybe I need that.
That sounds nice.
I know. Actually, that's where I'm headed after this. But um I also know, like I said, like I want these things for my life. Like I genuinely desire them. And it's just so helpful to have someone like just checking in and being like, hey, like, have you made progress towards that thing that you like said that you wanted? And yeah, it's this sense that like someone else is watching, even if they are not doing the exact same thing that you are, although sometimes we work on projects together, which is lovely. And it's also like this sense of like along with the accountability, I'm taking like the overthinking out because I think all of us are a little bit of overthinkers, and maybe there's a strength in there somewhere. But to keep going, you just kind of like I just need somebody to say, yeah, Marla, like Brandon. Oh my God, like the amount of times I have asked him a dumb question and he's like, Marla, you already know the answer, but fine, let me just tell you anyway. And like it just takes the thinking out, and then I can act, and only by acting can we like see and get closer to like all these like grand ideas we have for our lives. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
Discipline, Marla.
Discipline, but
Mhm.
fun.
And also people willing to tell you the things that you don't necessarily want to hear so that you can become the person you've always wanted to be, you know? And that gets us into this idea of honest feedback and just genuine and saying what's on your mind. And that's something I also feel grateful for, that I can trust and I can get that from you all. So let's talk about that as well.
Kind of think that honest feedback can be taken in a good way and a bad way. And in order for it to be taken in a good way, you have to, first of all, ask yourself, is this even, is this feedback even helpful for the person? Are they ready to receive it? So maybe asking the person, do you want to know my thoughts on this? You know, make sure it's solicited, I think, because
Yeah.
sometimes we know that the person just kind of wants to suffer a little bit before they actually do the thing. You know, so all you can do is just tell them, hey, I think that you would be much better off if you priced it a little higher or something, something. But then at the end of the day, the person's just going to do them, and that's absolutely okay. Um, Number two, also ask yourself, I think, am I even the right person to be providing this feedback? Am I the one who
Mm,
has
That's pretty
gained
good.
knowledge in this
yeah.
certain department to be able to advise people on this certain topic? You know, because sometimes we get asked because maybe we're perceived in some way, but maybe we don't have that experience yet, or maybe we need a little bit more. So I think that's also really important before you give feedback. Make sure that you've actually made it, or not made it, but you're on your way of making it and understanding the problematic deeply. And then I think at the end of the day, the last thing you have to do when you're giving feedback or receiving feedback, you just have to understand that the person who is trying to give it to you, or whether you are giving it to someone, you have to be on their side, right? If you're giving
Mhm.
feedback from a place of, um, yeah, I don't think this is great. You should do it a different way just because you were asked, you know. Um, but if you're giving feedback from your heart, and or receiving feedback from someone else's heart, then at the end of the day, no matter how harsh or how uncomfortable the truth is, you know it's coming from a good place. And as someone who's giving feedback, we of course have to try to remain in a state of satya and truthfulness, but also respecting ahimsa and kindness. So how
Yeah.
do we frame the feedback so that it's true, but it's also kind, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a very complex thing. Um, One thing I like to do is use the sandwich method. So you
Hmm.
start with something positive, then you say the uncomfortable truth, and then you end with another positive thing. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that kind of helps sometimes, especially if the truth is very, very harsh and uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
I'm also hearing too a bit of saying what, well, when you're in a space of that sort of trust and in that friendship where saying what you have to say and trusting that like the frequency and the intention behind what you're saying will come through, which is not always an easy thing to do. And I also feel like sometimes it's a great act of love to make your own self uncomfortable preparing that little truth sandwich for somebody that you really care about. Yeah, I love that idea of the
Truth
sandwich. Actually,
sandwich.
never heard that. I've never heard that.
The sandwich is
Um,
powerful. Can I hit a note on that
yeah,
too?
yeah.
One thing that's been really helpful in like personal life lately is like approaching every tough conversation with like the first thing saying, I'm bringing these things up because I love you and I want this relationship
Mm,
or this skill within you to grow. Like that foundation I felt in my personal life, I've been using that for like tough conversations, has set the tone and stage so that at any moment if I notice their energy gets defensive, like Camilla said, like they realize they try to think you're not on their side, you bring it back
mm,
to that foundation. Hey, remember at the start I said this is out of love. Um,
yeah,
like
that's
so
so
powerful.
true.
Yeah.
Let me bounce back on this one, because I actually think one more thing is quite important, and that's the timing. Obviously, I know it's like obvious, but sometimes we forget. Sometimes we are like so much in a rush to give the feedback that we don't consider what kind of headspace the other person is in, the receiver
Mm,
is in. And
Yeah.
it is our responsibility, unless we've been like asked right away. Actually, no, I take that back. Even when you've been asked, why isn't my business working? Why does my content suck? You know, that person is in a negative headspace, and you have to kind of make sure that what you're delivering is going to be helpful, and that's going to, yeah, that is going to be helpful. So if you're delivering it in a bad headspace or bad timing, and the person is in a rush or they're sick or something, I don't know, then I think it's counterproductive in a way.
Yeah.
Good
And
awareness.
getting that read for it for sure. Yeah. Well, I think that in all of these conversations, it's interesting because the line between, because we're talking about, of course, aligned friendship, we're also talking about business. And I'm a big believer of the fact that the way that we do one thing in our lives is kind of the way that we do everything. But I want us to talk a little bit about balancing the silliness, the dancing to Bad Bunny and the, crazy random stories and the laughter with also focus and how the two of them feed into each other.
I can speak on this. I think, and this has been huge for me, especially I want to say like the last 3 months, 4 months, is the pursuit of joy in this spiritual path that we are on as yoga teachers. I don't think there's anything more spiritual than joy, is kind of this conclusion that I'm coming to. And we see this, like I feel like I'm finally starting to like really understand for myself, like the five koshas I've been thinking about all the time, the five energy bodies, and like the outermost energy body is the food body, the physical body, then it's the energy body, the pranamaya kosha, the prana body, then we have the mental body, then we have the wisdom body, and then the innermost body is the ananda maya kosha, and ananda means joy or bliss, so it's like the bliss body, and that's like the innermost sheath of like our energy body is joy and bliss. And this path can feel really serious a lot of the time, and I know we all take our crafts very seriously, and that's like ultimately the purpose of these meetings is to discuss our crafts and our businesses and keep each other accountable and provide meaningful feedback, like as Kimmy and Brandon just eloquently talked about. Like all of this stuff comes with deep intention. But if we're not able to find joy along the ride, then like what are we even doing? And also, since we are giving each other serious feedback and like there's an element of discipline and accountability in a group like this, I think having a lighthearted environment makes that environment of like feedback and accountability and discipline much more like it gives it context. It's much more contextual. Um, I'm able to receive any feedback that y'all might give me with an open heart because it's obvious how much we care about each other, because really we just come on and we have fun just yapping about our lives and listening to each other and giving our thoughts, and sharing honestly. Like I think this is a really honest environment. But yeah, if you can't find joy in what you're doing, what are we doing? And I've started to realize that the more and more connected I feel and the further I get on my own spiritual path, the sillier of a motherfucker I've become. And I just want to like joke around. And like sometimes the silliest I ever feel is when I'm giving like a 3-hour lecture on yoga philosophy at like in a teacher training or something. Like I just become this silly character. The more I explore like sobriety in my life, the sillier I become. So I really think like this silliness is a part of the spiritual path, and it creates trust and authenticity. Like when we're in our most comfortable state ever, like we just become silly and like we could dance around and we don't care if we're making a fool of ourselves because we're in a trusted environment and we know that we're not going to be judged for anything. And anything that someone might say to us, it is coming from a place of love.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, silliness is kind of the through line of it all, and it's always going to be there. I think for me it reminds me of how much fun I used to have being silly with my friends when I was little and just laughing and just being weird. It's so nice when you can find other people that also let their guards down in that way and can be like that. It's one of the greatest gifts. So, this last one that a few of you can touch on, and then we'll start to wrap things up. Just keep it a nice little short and sweet bite-sized episode. And Brandon mentioned this at the beginning of the episode, which is that the reason why we have found each other and why I've seen things in each of you that made me want to reach out and to interview. And that's not to say that the average person honestly walking down the street wouldn't have an incredible story to share, because I'm sure that they would, but I wouldn't know. How would I know? And so what you guys have done a really good job of doing is that I do know. I do know some of the things that you're about, and I know what you're working on. I know where your mind's at. I understand your missions and how those are evolving and growing. And so this last question is on how did doing all that you've done to get here, because if I look at my own journey over the last 5 years, back when I was not a yoga teacher, it was an idea in my mind. And all of that had to happen first before I could ever find other people who are doing these sort of things that equally inspire me. But at a certain point, I would have looked at each one of you at that time. If I could see myself here, I wouldn't have fit in. Does that make sense? So I'm asking if we can talk a little bit about how intricately, how important it is, in my opinion, to become the kind of person that you would want to be friends with. And, how your journey up to this point you feel like has led to being able to find other aligned friendships.
Yeah, this actually fits in with a topic that's been like front of mind for a little while now. Because I just like I've kind of been going back through like old journals or old like just looking at like old like versions of me, quote unquote. Um, and having these repeated realizations that like everything in my life has been breadcrumb to me. Like I
Hmm.
thought back like when I was in law school taking this one professor's class that like these ideas, these certain ideas were important. And then I like stopped being a lawyer, right? And then I like totally dove into this and I was like, oh, this is just that is like a separate old, like there's a clear cut there, but it's not true. Like now I'm like having these understandings that the things that I thought were important were just in a different context, but I still find those ideas very important. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's easy to really want to look like 10 steps ahead, but I have found that I am exactly where I am right now because I followed the path moment to moment. And that's not to say that I don't try to look 10 steps ahead because I do, but then I complain to all of you about it and you bring me back to the present. Um, but yeah, it's just like it's like paying attention to the things that excite you, like being honest about the things that excite you, going moment by moment, like more in that direction. And then I just like this one like line that I read somewhere, you put yourself out there for wild discoveries and wild discoveries happen. So I never could
Mm.
have imagined that I would be sitting here working on this like on this like aligned path like with all of you. But here I am, and
Hmm.
and maybe yeah, I don't know, like maybe back in law school when I was watching this one show with these amazing coworkers and I was like, I want that for myself. And then I completely forgot that I had said that. And now here I am like 7 years later and I'm like, I have exactly that, you
Mm,
know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just paying attention and like being open.
yeah.
Paying attention.
Can I say too, like, because it's so cool to see that transition bar from like lawyer attorney to like Ashtangi yogi. Like I'm actually genuinely amazed by all you guys and like these shifts and everything and the wordage that came up from like your entire thought process there was like creating the version of you that would like withhold, sustain, and nurture that career. um like to get bring it back to one of my hockey coaches told me growing up, he's like, if you want to be a professional hockey player, start acting like it. We were like 9 years old during then. We're like, what do we do? Like what do we do? Like he was like like eat more like protein-based foods, like work out twice a day, like stick handle in your room, like watch game film. And I'm like a middle schooler. They're like, so no more video games, like, and so that, but that like translates into life. Like you guys know this. If you want to be an attorney, start studying like one. Like start sleeping like for rest like one. And so even as like a yoga teacher, like you can start now. You can, as an entrepreneur, you can start now and just pick up one really beautiful habit that'll snowball later in your life and like create that version of you that is, if you want to say like worthy of it, you already are, but like really create that version that's in the future, be that person now, and then it's just going to come as a beautiful byproduct. And the kicker is if you lose that external label or career, that's okay because you are the source of it. You can infinitely recreate the version of you that's worthy of it. So, um,
Mhm.
yeah.
I love that.
I have one more thing to say about that, actually, if you don't mind. Um,
Please.
but I have to say that I am not a person who makes friends very easily. So having this group
Hmm.
is very precious for me. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I reflected quite a lot on why it is that friendships haven't come easily to me. And I've come to the conclusion that sometimes the friendship is there and the other person is offering themselves, but you're not trusting them and you're kind of always looking for a hidden agenda in the other person. And you're doubting yourself of why would I be worthy of such a friendship? So what I tried to do when I made a conscious decision of actually working on my friendships is letting go of that fear, that imposter, that inner me who is always scared of getting hurt in a way. So what I'm trying to say is if someone offers their heart to you, or their friendship, or the help or feedback or anything, then I think it's really important to just receive it with an open heart, is what I'm trying to say,
Hmm.
because sometimes there are so many opportunities, but we just close ourselves to them because we're scared of getting hurt. So yeah, I'm really glad that I didn't, and that I did open my heart. So that's one thing I just wanted to add here to anyone who's wondering and who wants to make more friends.
Yeah. That's super important. And at the end of the day, it's like what we are looking for, we're gonna find. And so, yeah, if we don't allow ourselves to look for it at all, we don't allow ourselves to be open to it, it could be right in front of your face. It could be, in my case, the neighbor right across the hall from me. Later on, it's like right, of course, as I'm about to move, I find out it's just this awesome friend, and she's been there the entire time. Um, but I wasn't looking for a friend across the hall, so I didn't find one. I wasn't open to that, right? Yeah, that's a beautiful point. It's a really beautiful point. Any other final takeaways?
I just want to say thank y'all. I don't have any beautifully written out emotional story to read y'all like Shawna did at the beginning that'll make all of you cry, but deep gratitude. I think, yeah, y'all are just so cool and inspiring. And I don't know if any of us could have seen ourselves being here and a part of this group and among people who we just think are really cool and we can look up to, but also just see as our peers.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, exactly what y'all just said, like, start being the person who you want to be. It's okay that you aren't there yet. It's okay that you don't know whatever it is that you feel like or think that you should know. Um, but just keep going toward the things that light you up. If something brings you joy, like if you're a yoga teacher, what is it about yoga that brings you joy? And just go as far into that as you can and share it outwardly as unapologetically as you can without a single care about how well it does on any sort of algorithm or, who goes further and who comes closer. Like the more
Hmm.
authentically you are you and you are stepping into the version of you that you want to be, the more that those people who really are the right people to be around you will be able to come closer. So don't try to act like anyone you're not, but really act aggressively like who you really are.
There
And
we
you'll
go.
find your people.
That's a perfect summary. That's a perfect summary. Thank you guys. And if you're listening, by the way, thanks for hanging out with us a little bit. I hope that you feel inspired to start to water those seeds and try to find some other folks who are doing the same thing as you and take some trial and error. I've had several other half-hearted attempts at creating something like this, and it hasn't always worked out, and that's okay too, because everybody's on their own path and their own journey. So that's why it's built little bit by little bit over time, and you'll find it. I'm not going to ask you guys to do your billboard messages, by the way, because that's a tradition, of course, on the podcast, but each of you have already done a beautiful billboard message. And so if you're listening and you want more, you can go queue up each one of these interviews that I've done with these lovely people, and you can hear their billboard messages there. But aside from that, of course, if you want to find everyone, I'm assuming lots of you are here because you already know these folks, but all of their information is going to be linked as well in the show notes on where you can practice with them and where you can keep learning from them, because this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the knowledge that's present here in this group. So, with that, Cactus Club adjourned.
See you next week.
Thank you for this, Shawna.